Okay, so are you ready to dive deep into something really fascinating?
I am. Always ready for a good deep dive.
Perfect. Because today we're talking about personal transformation.
Ooh, I like it. Everyone loves a good transformation story.
Right. And you know us, we like to find inspiration in some unexpected places, so get this.
Okay.
We're turning to the Princess Diaries and tarot cards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is an interesting combo. I'm intrigued.
Right. We'll be using the movie and the symbolism of the tarot to explore your own potential for growth. We'll talk about how to stay true to yourself even as you change and evolve.
Because let's face it, who hasn't had those Mia Thermopolis moments?
Totally. You know, where you are feeling a little awkward, a little unsure, and then suddenly, bam, you start to see this whole new side of yourself.
Exactly. And that's where the tarot comes in. Think of it like a symbolic language that's full of archetypes and stories that can help us understand our own journeys.
It's not about, like, telling the future or anything.
No, no fortune telling here.
Yeah.
It's about gaining insights into ourselves and our paths.
Love it. So, to guide this deep dive, we have some tarot spreads that were inspired by key moments in the movie.
Okay, I'm excited to hear about these.
Well, the first one is all about the transformation, that initial spark, that moment when you realize there's more to you than meets the eye.
I love that. We all have those hidden depths waiting to be uncovered.
Exactly. And the cards we're looking at for this are Death, Knight of Swords, and Three of Wands.
Whoa, right out of the gate with some intense cards. Death, huh?
Yeah. What do you think about when you see that Death card?
Well, I mean, I know it's not literal, right? Like, I'm not going to keel over dead right here.
Definitely not. No worries.
But in tarot, death is all about letting go. It's about shedding old versions of yourself, those beliefs and habits that no longer serve you, to make way for something new. Just like when Mia trades in her, like, invisible girl persona for a tiara.
Oh, yeah, that's such a good point. So it's not about actual death, it's more about embracing a new chapter. It's interesting, though, because big changes, even really positive ones, can kind of feel like a mini death in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, think about a time when you stepped outside your comfort zone. Maybe you started a new job, moved to a new city, or something like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Didn't it feel scary and exciting all at the same time?
Yeah, and like you're saying goodbye to a part of yourself, like a
Yeah.
little death.
Totally. And that's where I think this Knight of Swords comes in. I feel like this card represents those sudden aha moments, you know?
Oh, like when you're just hit with this realization about yourself or what you should be doing.
Yes. Like 1 minute you're just going about your business, and the next, bam, you get this flash of
It
clarity.
can be overwhelming, those aha
Yeah,
moments, right?
totally.
You're excited, but also maybe a little unsure about how to actually move forward.
It's a lot to process.
It is. And I think that's where the Three of Wands comes in. This card is all about pausing. Like, take a breath.
Okay, slow down.
Yes. It's really about considering what you want. Like, what do you want? Not just rushing into what other people expect of you.
Like when Mia finds out she's a princess, it's super exciting, but it also comes with all of these expectations and new responsibilities.
So true.
She has to figure out how to handle all of that while still staying true to herself.
Which is something I think we all struggle with at some point.
For sure.
It's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Like, how can you embrace the change that's happening, but still make sure it's happening on your own terms?
Oh, for sure. And it's not always easy to do, which actually is a perfect transition into our second spread of the deep dive.
Okay, what's next?
We are talking about the curveball.
Yeah, curveball. I like it.
Because, well, life isn't all like princess lessons and tiara fittings, is it?
Sadly, no, it is not.
There are always going to be those challenges that pop up, those moments that just throw us totally off course.
Oh, yeah, those curveballs can really come out of nowhere.
Yeah. For this spread, the cards we pulled are interesting. Death again, round 2. Then we have 4 of Wands, but then also the 10 of Wands.
So we've got transformation, a little bit of celebration, but then also maybe some burdens.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. How do you interpret that mix?
Well, I think it speaks to how even when you are on a path of growth and change, even when it's something that you want, it doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. There can be challenges.
It's like when you finally get that dream job offer, but then you start the job and you're like, oh, this means working late. This means more responsibility. This means office politics, you know?
Yes, it's still your dream, but it doesn't mean there won't be bumps in the road.
Exactly. And notice how we have that death card again. It's like that reminder that this transformation thing, it's not just a one-time deal, you know?
It's a process, right?
Totally. So it's really about learning how to adapt as you go.
Absolutely. Those curveballs we were talking about,
Yeah.
those challenges, they're oftentimes the things that push us to change and grow.
Oh, that's a good point. So the death card is basically saying, hey, get comfortable with being a little uncomfortable sometimes.
Yes, exactly. And the Four of Wands usually represents, like, celebration,
Yeah.
reaching milestones and all that.
Okay, I see that.
But then we have the Ten of Wands, which is all about feeling burdened, overwhelmed.
So how do we make sense of those two together? Celebrating and being overwhelmed at the same time.
It's complex, for sure. Remember that story about the woman who gets a second chance at life?
You mean the one where she's hit by an ambulance?
Yeah. Like, talk about a curveball, right? But she becomes really, really focused on her appearance and how other people see her.
And in doing that, and focusing so much on just the outside stuff, she kind of loses a part of herself.
Right. It's like she's going through the motions of transforming, but it's not really about her growth. It's about what other people think.
It makes me think of that part in the Princess Diaries when Mia starts to get caught up in the whole princess makeover.
Oh, yeah, the etiquette lessons and all of that.
Yes. She gets so focused on trying to fit this new mold that she kind of forgets about the people in her life that really matter. Like when she ditches her friends to hang out with the popular
Oh,
kids.
totally.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a good example of how we can lose sight of ourselves in the midst of these big changes. It's a good reminder to stay grounded.
So really, it's not about avoiding the curveballs altogether. It's more about making sure that when those challenges inevitably come up, that we're facing them with intention.
And making sure we're not losing ourselves in the process.
Yeah, and I think that's something I really struggle with sometimes. It's like when that curveball hits you, you just go into survival mode.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
She's just trying to make it through.
Exactly. But that kind of brings us to our final card spread for this deep dive.
All right, let's hear it.
We are talking about the coronation. This is where we step into our power.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
But like you were saying earlier, it's not about becoming someone you're not.
Right.
It's more about taking ownership of who you truly are.
Yes. Owning it fully and authentically.
Just like Mia at the end of the movie. She finally steps into that princess role, but she does it her own way.
Yes. And she doesn't lose sight of herself and her values in the process.
Exactly. So what cards did we get for this final spread?
We have the Queen of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, and then our friend, the Four of Wands, is back.
Oh, interesting. The Queen of Cups. What a great card.
Tell me everything.
Well, she represents leading with compassion and empathy, emotional intelligence. She's not about being bossy or demanding.
So she's not like, ruling with an iron fist or anything like that.
No, not at all. She understands herself, and she uses that understanding to connect with others from a genuine place.
Okay, so you can be strong and powerful, but also lead with your heart.
Absolutely.
I love that. What about the Wheel of Fortune?
That card is a reminder that life is full of these ups and downs. It's constantly spinning.
Yeah, sometimes you are up and sometimes you are down.
Exactly. And I think the real key is how you adapt to that,
You've got to learn to ride the waves.
Exactly. Because like they say, smooth seas never made a skilled sailor.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, and then we have the Four of Wands popping up again here.
It's back. And I think in this context, it's about finding that inner joy, celebrating your progress, no matter how big or small those steps might seem.
Yes. Celebrate those little victories.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive.
I know. It went by so fast.
It did. But I think there are some really good takeaways here.
Definitely.
We all have that Mia Thermopolis potential inside of us.
Oh, absolutely.
We have the power to embrace change and overcome those curveballs that come our way.
Yeah.
And when we do those things, we can step into our power authentically. So until next time, keep diving deep.
All right. So today we are doing a deep dive into something really fun.
Yeah.
It's a tarot reading,
I love it.
but it's inspired by High School Musical.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to be talking about,
awesome.
breaking free from expectations and like finding your tribe and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's so good. I'm excited how this reading kind of uses High School Musical
Yeah.
to help us understand something that I think a lot of us struggle with,
Right?
which is balancing our own passions
Yeah.
with what other people expect of us.
Totally. And it does it in such a fun way.
Yeah,
Like who doesn't love
exactly.
High School Musical, right?
So good.
So it's like
It's a cool
self-discovery, but set to music.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first card is called The Secret Passion.
Okay.
And I feel like this really sets the stage for the whole reading.
Yeah.
It features the High Priestess card,
Okay.
and it also highlights the zodiac sign Pisces.
Okay.
So what's the message here?
Well, I think it's all about uncovering those hidden depths,
Okay.
those dreams that you might be keeping even from yourself.
Interesting.
The High Priestess is all about intuition and inner wisdom.
Okay.
It's like she's whispering, hey, there's more to you than meets the eye.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's highlighting Pisces,
Right.
which means that these passions are going to be deeply personal,
Yeah.
driven by your emotions and intuition.
Oh, wow.
Like Troy's secret love for singing,
Yeah.
hidden beneath the basketball star facade.
Right, exactly. And the reading even mentions
Yeah.
feeling boxed in.
Right.
Like people only see one side of you.
Mm-hmm.
They put a label on you and they're like, that's it.
Yeah. Totally.
The athlete, the Brady, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But there's more to the story, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, especially as we get older,
Right.
we start to feel this way where it's like,
Uh-huh.
I wish I had pursued that, or
Totally.
why didn't I, listen to those little voices inside.
It's that feeling of what if?
Yeah.
What if I hadn't listened to all those limiting beliefs?
Right.
And, maybe there is some regret there. Maybe
Yeah.
there is some like, oh, I'm stuck.
Right.
But the reading is really encouraging a fresh perspective.
Okay.
It even uses the example of someone that loves both law and fashion,
Okay.
or technology and medicine,
Interesting.
just showing that you don't have to fit in one neat little box.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think we can get really hung up on labels
Yeah.
and feeling like we have to
Right.
pick one thing.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so cool about this reading.
Yeah.
It's reminding us that we can be multifaceted.
Right.
We don't have to just be one thing.
Exactly. Like we contain multitude.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So we've got these hidden passions.
Okay.
We're starting to break free from those expectations.
Right.
But how do we actually start pursuing these passions?
Yeah.
That's where I feel like the rubber meets the road.
Totally.
And that's where this audition card comes in.
Right.
So this card is all about taking a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Much like Troy and Gabriella did when they decide to audition for the School Musical.
Yes.
Remember that scene?
I love it.
Where they're both kind of like, oh, good. Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh, should we really be doing this?
Yeah.
Everyone's watching us.
Mm-hmm.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And that's where this card strength linked to Leo comes in.
Yes.
It takes courage to put yourself out there,
It does.
especially when others might not understand.
Right. And especially when you haven't necessarily always believed in yourself.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it can feel like you're auditioning for your own life sometimes.
Yes.
Trying to convince not just other people but yourself that you're worthy
Totally.
of pursuing your dreams.
It's like we internalize
Yeah.
all of those external voices.
Right?
And then sometimes they become our own worst critic.
Totally. And this reading acknowledges that.
Okay.
Like it acknowledges that you might have had setbacks in the past.
Yeah.
Moments where someone doubted your abilities or doubted your vision.
Right. Or even rejected you outright.
Totally.
Right.
But then the Knight of Cups comes in
Okay.
and kind of reminds us to follow our heart.
Okay.
Pursue your dreams with a sense of romance and idealism.
Oh, I like that.
It's that little voice inside that's like,
Yes.
don't give up on what makes you come alive.
It's so easy to let those past hurts hold us back.
It is.
But I like how this card is, like you said,
Yeah.
a little bit of a beacon of hope.
Yeah.
It's reminding us to keep going.
Right.
But I also think it's important to note that this card isn't just about blind faith.
Right.
It also talks about strategizing.
Right.
Almost like you need to pitch your dream
Yes.
to get support,
Yeah.
like you would for a business idea.
Right.
It's like you're seeking funding for your passion,
Exactly.
which I think is a really
I love that.
interesting concept.
Because I think a lot of times we think
Uh-huh.
about our passions, we think about our dreams
Uh-huh.
as these like airy-fairy things.
Yeah.
But this card is saying no.
Right.
Like you've got to approach them with some strategy.
Yeah.
Just like a great audition
Yes.
or a compelling pitch.
Right.
You've got to know your stuff.
Yes.
You've got to articulate your vision.
You got to be able to sell it.
Yes.
Right.
And you've got to advocate for yourself.
I love it.
Yeah.
Be your own hype man.
Yes.
Right.
Be your own cheerleader.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not enough to just like have the passion.
Right.
You gotta
You've got to
back it up.
You got to have a plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it made me think of that saying.
Yeah.
Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Oh, I love that. That's so good.
You have to be ready to seize those moments.
Yes, you do.
Because they might not always come around again.
Exactly.
So this card is a call to action.
It is. It's saying be bold, be strategic,
Yeah.
and don't let fear hold you back
Right.
from sharing your gifts with the world.
I love that.
Yeah,
Okay. It's
yeah.
almost like this whole reading is like
Yeah.
a pep talk,
Totally. Yeah.
encouraging us to step into our power.
Yes.
But let's get real for a second.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
We've uncovered these hidden passions.
Right.
We're ready to put ourselves out there.
Yes.
But then there's the reality
Right.
of everyday life.
Uh-huh.
We've got jobs. We've got responsibilities, relationships.
All the things.
All the things.
Yeah.
So can we really have it all? Or is that just a fantasy?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
Right. And that's what I think is so cool about this High School Musical tarot reading,
Okay.
is it actually addresses that
Okay.
with the final card, which is the big game.
Which, if we think back to the movie,
Yes.
this is a championship basketball game
It is.
happening at the same time as the opening night of the school musical.
Exactly.
Talk about pressure.
Oh, my God.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the ultimate clash of commitments.
It is.
And I feel like that really mirrors
Yes.
the balancing act we often face
Totally.
in our own lives.
It's so true.
Where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but how do I make time for this?
Right.
And also show up for that.
Right. And this card is actually really reassuring, I think.
Okay.
Because it's reminding us that we don't have to choose.
Good.
Like, we don't have to choose one or the other, which is, I think, a really big takeaway.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because it can feel very much like an either situation.
Right.
But this card is reminding us that it doesn't have to be.
That we can find a way to honor
Yes.
both.
Yes.
And especially because this card features
yes.
the Emperor and the Empress,
Yes.
which
Two very different energies.
very different energies.
Right.
Right. You've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
structure and ambition with the Emperor,
Mm.
and then you've got nurturing and creativity
Yeah.
with the Empress.
It's so good.
And it's almost like these represent
Yeah.
two different sides of ourselves.
It's so true. And I think that's the key to this whole having it all dilemma,
Okay.
is that it really is about integrating those different parts of ourselves.
Okay.
You know?
Finding the sweet spot
Yeah.
where we're honoring
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
our passions and our responsibilities.
It's not about sacrificing one for the other.
Right.
It's about finding a way to make them work together,
Okay.
to create a life that feels balanced
Yeah.
and authentic.
Easier said than done.
Right. Easier said than done.
Because it's one thing to say,
Exactly.
oh yeah, I'm just going to integrate these things.
Right.
But then it's like,
How do you actually do that?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that this card
Yeah.
is actually quite optimistic about it.
okay.
Because another card that pops up
Okay.
is the Eight of Wands, which is all about like swift action
Okay.
and things falling into place. So
Okay.
it's almost like,
Okay.
once you kind of found that internal balance,
Yeah.
things have a way of working out.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring this home for our listener.
Okay.
For someone who is listening and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, this resonates with me.
Right.
I feel like I'm at that point where I'm ready to
Yes.
integrate these different sides of myself.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like?
Yeah. What can they actually do?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Should they be drawing up schedules,
Maybe.
setting boundaries, channeling their inner Troy Bolton?
All of the above.
All of the above.
I would say all of the above.
Okay.
I think it's about being proactive,
Okay.
both with our time and our energy.
Okay.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
How can you create space in your life for the things that light you up?
Okay.
Even if it's just for a little while each day.
It's like they say you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
You have to make sure
Yeah.
that you are taking care of yourself,
Absolutely.
nurturing your own passions and interests.
Yes. And I think sometimes that means getting a little creative.
Okay.
Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier
Okay.
to work on that passion project.
Okay.
Or incorporating your love of photography
Yeah.
into a weekend hike with friends.
Okay.
It's about finding those little pockets of time
Right.
and just weaving them
Yeah.
into the fabric of your life.
I love this. Has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
I agree. I mean, it's so fun.
Who knew that High School Musical and tarot
Right.
could offer such insightful
I know.
guidance
Right.
on navigating our passions and expectations?
It's amazing.
So as we wrap things up,
Yeah.
what's the one big takeaway
Okay.
you hope our listeners walk away with today?
I want everyone listening to remember that you are capable of achieving amazing things when you give yourself permission
Yeah.
to explore all facets of who you
I
are.
love it.
Don't let anyone,
Yeah.
not even your own inner critic,
Right.
dim your sparkle.
I love that that's such a good reminder because it is so easy
It is.
to let whether it's external voices or that inner critic,
Right.
to kind of put up those limitations for ourselves. But
Yes,
you're right, we are capable
we are.
of amazing things when we give ourselves permission
Yes,
to explore those different parts of ourselves.
that's right. And remember,
Yeah,
this journey of pursuing your passions, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
that is a really good point.
You know there are going to be challenges along the way.
Right.
There are going to be setbacks.
Of course.
But this reading is reminding us
Yeah.
that we have the strength and resilience to overcome them.
This deep dive has been all about
Yeah.
finding that balance
Yes.
between your dreams and your daily life.
Yes.
It's about embracing
Yes.
your multifaceted self.
Right.
And having the courage to share your gifts with the world.
Yes.
We hope you feel inspired
Yeah.
to step into your own spotlight
Love it.
and create a life that truly reflects
Yeah.
who you are.
So good.
Until next time, keep exploring,
Keep dreaming.
keep dreaming, and keep diving deep.
Hey there. Ready to unleash your wild side.
This deep dive is all about finding that perfect balance, chasing your dreams with unstoppable passion.
While building a crew that empowers you every step of the way.
We'll be using a unique blend of tarot wisdom and, believe it or not,
Inspiration from the Cheetah Girls to illuminate your path.
now before you think we've stepped back in time to the early 2000s, let me explain.
The Cheetah Girls, with its themes of friendship, ambition, and staying true to yourself,
Offers a fun lens to explore some pretty profound questions about how we show up in groups.
and the tarot.
Well, it's like that wise friend who always seems to have insightful advice.
We're exploring 3 key areas, represented by our tarot spread: the spotlight, the group dynamic, and the grand finale.
Think of it as a roadmap to help you unleash your full potential.
Let's dive into our first card, the spotlight.
This card is all about owning your power, stepping into the spotlight you deserve.
But doing so in a way that inspires others.
That really captures the essence of, say, Galleria's journey in the Cheetah Girls, doesn't it?
Ambitious, driven, but also learning how to empower her friends.
Absolutely.
For this card, we've drawn the King of Cups, the King of Pentacles, and the Sun.
Quite a powerful trio, wouldn't you say?
A royal flush of leadership.
What does this combination reveal about our listeners' journey to owning their spotlight?
The King of Cups points to leading with empathy.
You, dear listener, likely have a natural ability to connect with others on an emotional level.
This is a tremendous strength when it comes to inspiring and motivating a team.
Emotional intelligence, such a crucial ingredient for any leader in any arena, really.
Precisely.
Now, the King of Pentacles suggests a knack for success.
Especially in building stability and achieving tangible goals.
However, this card also serves as a gentle reminder to be mindful of becoming overly dominant in group settings.
So it's about channeling that inner boss.
But the collaborative kind, not the one who accidentally micromanages their way into a solo act.
Yes.
It's about guiding and inspiring, not dictating.
And this is where the Sun card beautifully complements the Kings.
Let's bask in that sunshine.
What insights does the Sun offer?
The sun encourages you to embrace and radiate your authentic self.
This card reminds us that true success is not about dimming our light to make others feel comfortable.
But about shining so brightly that it inspires those around us to do the same.
I love that.
It's not selfish to go after what you want. In fact, your passion can be contagious.
Precisely.
And this ties back to the Leo energy we often associate with the sun.
It's about stepping into your power with generosity, about lifting others as you climb.
Okay, so far, we're seeing a theme here. Leadership, ambition.
It was a big dose of heart.
Now let's move on to our next card, the group dynamic.
Because even the most ambitious solo act needs a solid crew, right?
And just like real life,
The journey to finding your tribe,
it isn't always harmonious,
this is where the Cheetah Girls really hits a nerve.
don't you think?
Absolutely.
And this card encourages us to lean into those moments of friction.
Not shy away from them.
It's in navigating those challenges.
That we truly learn about ourselves and the dynamics at play.
Remember those clashes?
Compromise.
Real life stuff right there.
We've got the Three of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles on the table for this one.
What insights can you offer about the group dynamic based on this trio?
The Three of Cups is such a joyful card.
It represents the deep satisfaction and support we find in true friendships. And this is key.
It's not about clinging to connections just for the sake of it.
So it's about celebrating the connections that light us up.
while also being discerning about who we let into our inner circle.
Exactly.
The Queen of
But
Pentacles
the true powerhouse,
emphasizes this need for discernment.
she asks us to consider, are the people I'm surrounding myself with,
Genuinely invested in my growth,
are they reliable, supportive?
and as excited about my wins as I am about theirs.
It's easy to get swept up in the idea of having a big, supportive crew.
But this card reminds us that quality trumps quantity every single time.
Absolutely.
And finally, we have the Six of Pentacles.
Urging us to examine the balance of giving and receiving in our relationships,
Are we constantly pouring energy into connections?
without receiving an equal amount in return.
That resonates.
I think we've all experienced those one-sided friendships where we end up feeling drained and underappreciated.
Exactly.
This card encourages us to assess whether our relationships are mutually beneficial.
Are we offering support and are we receiving it in return?
It's about recognizing our worth.
And ensuring that the energy we're pouring into our relationships is being reciprocated.
Now, that's a group dynamic worth striving for.
Indeed.
This combination invites us to reflect on our connections.
Ensuring they're nurturing our dreams, not depleting our energy.
Now that we've explored the dynamics of the crew,
Let's move on to our final act, the grand finale.
this card feels particularly potent.
Wouldn't you say?
It's about reaching that culmination.
That moment when everything you've been working towards,
It comes together.
like the Cheetah Girls finally earning the stage,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. And for the grand finale, we've drawn the Six of Swords
The Four of Swords.
and the Eight of Cups.
That combination has such a sense of transformation to it. What insights can you offer about these cards?
Especially as they relate to this idea of reaching our full potential,
The Six of Swords
often linked to the energy of Aquarius.
speaks to the power of moving on from situations that no longer serve our highest good.
Just as the Cheetah Girls had to overcome internal conflicts to truly shine,
This card suggests that sometimes
we need to leave behind certain people
basis
or patterns to make space for new growth.
that can be a daunting prospect, though.
Can it? Letting go.
You're absolutely right.
It takes courage and introspection.
That's where the Four of Swords offers guidance.
This card encourages us to hit the pause button before making any major decisions.
To create space for reflection and inner peace,
So it's not about rushing into change.
but approaching it with a sense of grounded clarity.
Precisely.
This period of rest allows us to make choices from a place of alignment.
Not out of impulse or fear.
And then we have the Eight of Cups.
Encouraging a profound emotional detachment from anything that might be dimming our light.
Could you elaborate on what that means?
Emotional detachment.
It sounds a bit like we're building walls instead of bridges.
It's not about shutting down emotionally.
Rather recognizing when something
Or
is no longer aligned with our path.
this card empowers us to walk away,
Not from a place of sadness or resentment.
but from a place of self-respect and purpose.
So it's less about closing ourselves off
And more about creating space for new opportunities.
for relationships and experiences that truly resonate with who we are becoming.
Yes.
It's about trusting that we are worthy of fulfilling our wildest dreams.
And that sometimes that requires releasing what no longer serves that purpose.
Wow, what a powerful message to end on. So
As we wrap up this deep dive into unleashing your wild side,
I'm curious to know what's resonating most strongly with you.
are you feeling called to step more fully into your spotlight?
Perhaps reassessing your group dynamic.
Or maybe even sensing that it's time for your own grand finale?
Listen to your intuition. It already knows the way.